Jacob had Joseph promise to bury him in his homeland. Only a few things were written in this culture, so a person's word carried as much force as a written contract does today. People today seem to find it easy to say, "I didn't mean that." God's people, however, are to speak the truth and live the truth. Let your words be as binding as a written contract. Welcome back to the program, everybody. I'm Reverend Said, and today we'll be reading Genesis chapter 47, verses 37 through 31, and Genesis chapter 48, verses 1 through 22. Joseph makes a promise to Jacob. And if you ain't did it already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment on any video on this channel. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our reading of Genesis chapter 47, verses 37 through 31, and Genesis chapter 48, verses 1 through 22. The people of Israel settled in the region of Goshen in Egypt. There they acquired property, and they were fruitful, and their population grew rapidly. Jacob lived for 17 years after his arrival in Egypt, so he lived 147 years in all. At the time his death grew near, Jacob called for his son Joseph and said to him, "Please do me this favor. Put your hand under my thigh and swear that you would treat me with unfaithful love by honoring this last request. Do not bury me in Egypt. When I die, please take my body out of Egypt and bury me with my ancestors." So Joseph promised, "I will do as you ask." "Swear that you will do it," Joseph insisted. So Joseph gave his oath, and Jacob bowed humbly at the head of his bed. All right, Genesis chapter 48, verses 1 through 22. Jacob blesses Manasseh and Ephraim. One day, not long after, word came to Joseph, "Your father is failing rapidly." So Joseph went to visit his father, and he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. When Joseph arrived, Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph has come to see you." So Jacob gathered his strength and sat up on the bed. Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said to me, 'I will make you fruitful, and I will multiply your descendants. I will make you a multitude of nations, and I will give you this land of Canaan to your descendants after you as an everlasting possession.' Now I'm claiming as my own son these two boys of yours, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born here in the land of Egypt before I arrived. They will be my son just as Reuben and Simeon are. But any children born to you in the future will be your own, and they will inherit the land within the territories of the brothers Ephraim and Manasseh. Long ago I was returning from Paddan Aram, and Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were still on the way some distance from Ephraim, that is Bethlehem. So with great sorrow I buried her beside the road to Ephraim." Then Jacob looked over at his two boys. "Are these your sons?" he asked. "Yes," Joseph told him. "These are the sons of God. These are the sons God has given me here in Egypt." And Jacob said, "Bring them closer to me so I can bless them." Jacob was half blind because of his old age and could hardly see. So Joseph brought the boys close to him, and Jacob kissed and embraced them. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "I never thought I would see your face again, but now God has let me see your children too." Joseph moved the boys who were at their grandfather's knee, and he bowed with his face to the ground. Then he positioned the boys in front of Jacob. With his right hand, he directed Ephraim towards Jacob's left hand, and with his left hand, he put Manasseh at Jacob's right hand. But Jacob crossed his arms as he reached out to lay his hands on the boys' heads. He put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, though he was the younger boy, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, though he was the firstborn. Then he blessed Joseph and said, "May God, before whom my grandfather Abraham and my father Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this very day, the angel who has redeemed me from all harm, may bless these boys. May they preserve my name and the names of Abraham and Isaac, and may their descendants multiply greatly throughout the earth." But Joseph was upset when he saw his father place his right hand on Ephraim's head. So Joseph lifted it to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. "Now, my father," he said, "this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused. "I know, my son. I know," he replied. "Manasseh will also become a great people, but his younger brother will become even greater, and his descendants will become a multitude of nations." So Jacob blessed the boys that day, and with his blessings, the people of Israel will use your names when they give a blessing. They will say, "May God keep you as prosperous as Ephraim and Manasseh." In this way, Jacob put Ephraim ahead of Manasseh. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "Look, I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to Canaan, the land of your ancestors. And beyond what I have given your brothers, I am giving you an extra portion of the land that I took from the Amorites with my sword and bow." Jacob gave Ephraim instead of his older brother Manasseh the greater blessing. When Joseph objected, Jacob refused to listen because God had told him that Ephraim would become greater. God can use you to carry out his plans, even if you don't think you have all the qualifications. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up our reading for this episode. Please join me next time where we'll be reading Genesis chapter 49, verses 1 through 28, Jacob's last words to his son. Y'all stay blessed and come back and see me.